Pura vida, amigos, and welcome to another episode of La Vida Verde podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Human, and today my guest is the infamous legend Kaypacha. He is the founder of New Paradigm Astrology. He's the host of the Pele Report, going on like more than 15 years now, and my neighbor and bro here in the Machuca Valley. It's going to be a great conversation, and I'm sure we're going to get a little astrological forecast out of him if we're lucky. So stay tuned. We're going to find out what's going on in the stars with Kaypacha today, and I hope you enjoy. All right, welcome to the podcast, Kaypacha. It's an honor.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yes.
All right. Glad to be back home.
Yeah, you're home here. So yeah, I mean, we could just start off by saying you live here in the valley. You live in Ecovia. Kaypacha and I have known each other, probably 6 or 7 years at least, but I've been following the Pele Report since before that. I mean, I'm not like I don't understand most of it, but I remember when 15 years ago seeing this report. So this has been happening for a long time. So you bought in Ecovia. So what is your, why did you buy in Ecovia?
Yeah.
Why are you my neighbor? Why do you live here?
Yeah. I came to Costa Rica, fell in love with a Costa Rican, and but she lived in San Pedro, San Jose, the city, and I was not willing to. Had the razor wire and the big gates and the alarms, and it was just a city. And I came here to connect with nature and Mama Gaia and and community also. I think that we're the new paradigm. Age of Aquarius coming, that it is about communities, alternative communities, creating subcultures, new ways of living together with each other, living together with the earth, being more self-sufficient, being less abusive to nature. And so it was great because at that time, at least, it was a permaculture community. Mm-hmm. That's the way that they were presenting it.
Right.
And
it was the original design was there was a whole permaculture plan, and Itai and Stephen Brooks went out and did a whole bunch of installations. So it was originally, that was the main intention.
Yeah. So they had the veggie basket every week, and
they still do that, right?
Garden. Yeah, that's still happening. On the river, and you got the monkeys, and it's all amazing.
And were you
very beautiful?
Were you raised in the country, or you're I know you're from the U.S. from Illinois, right?
The suburbs.
The burbs. You're a
the burbs. Outside Chicago. And, I got out of there at 17. Out to California. Stayed in California for, I don't know, 30 years or so. Mm-hmm. Then went out to Hawaii. After my kids grew up and left. And then came from Hawaii.
Straight to Costa Rica.
Once I went tropical.
Yeah. Once you go
bananas, the coconuts.
You don't go back.
Papayas, the mangoes. It's just too nice.
And yeah, Kaypacha, I love your house. One of my favorite houses in Ecovia. It's just, literally, it's beautiful. It's round, and you designed it yourself, right?
Yeah.
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 I think it's amazing. It's literally so beautiful, and I know Kaypacha will occasionally host groups you do groups down there, retreats and stuff occasionally. Or?
I did a workshop last December.
The Tantra and Astrology workshop.
Yeah.
Tantra and Astrology, which is also something I love, that you mix the Tantra and Astrology. And you ended it with something you've been doing in our community for years now, which is the annual, what do you call it? The annual astrological forecast. You do kind of a overview of the astrology of the whole year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I've loved that you do that. It's a beautiful, wonderful gift to our community. That I mean, Kaypacha is like you're well known in the astrology world. You have people lining up to like get readings by you, and so for us, it's just like super special. And in your house, he has this big tiled zodiac in the middle of the floor. So literally going around with like little suns and moons and planets and like telling us exactly what's happening. And I appreciate that so much. But one of the things that really came to me is right before COVID, you did it the year before COVID. And I remember very specifically you saying, get ready because shit's about to go down. And boy, did it go down.
Yeah, that was the great Pluto-Jupiter-Saturn conjunction of 2020. And so all the astrologers could see that the Great Reset.
Yeah. What is the Great Reset? What do you what is it? Well, I mean, is it a thing? Is it something different to everybody, you think? Like, what is it to you?
Well, it's interesting that Schwab grabbed that name for his book, but Klaus Schwab wrote a book called The Great Reset.
Who's Klaus Schwab? I don't know this book.
He is the president of the World Economic Forum. The whole group of billionaires that are have an agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's part of it. So yeah, even he or the elite, we could say, have this knowing and this knowledge of astrology. Mm-hmm. Kings and queens and presidents and dictators, all have, their little private astrologers. It's not always publicized, but the Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, they come together. The last time was in, BC. Yeah, 1492 BC.
Hundreds of years.
So yeah, it's almost 4,000 years ago, and so that is a cycle and it's happening in the sign of Capricorn, which has to do with authority. It has to do with structure, formation, time, space, materialism, banking, institutions that bring form and structure. So it's governments, corporations. So it is this restructuring of institutions and governments and society, basically, and how we function.
And I remember this exactly, almost word for word. This is exactly what you told us was going to happen. And then like it was like a month or two later, COVID happened. And I remember like looking back and going, holy shit, Kaypacha was like, knew exactly what was coming, dude. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah.
And that was the start.
Mm-hmm. Is it still happening?
It's still, right. It's in these beginning stages. I mean, if you think of a 4,000-year cycle, it's slow. Going to, you're not really going to see it happen.
Right.
It's almost like the seed sprouts, and you don't see the plant, until long after. So there's still many things going on now behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. There are many things going on in the, the World Health Organization, in the World Economic, all these global institutions, because we're moving towards a global economy, we're moving towards a global governance, and we're moving towards a global society. Mm-hmm. And it's being set up and structured with CBDCs, with digital passports, with facial recognition, with blah 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 blah. I mean, there's many. We're going to see over the next couple of years the presentation of many new. Like they're implementing more and more new ideas that are going to, create this global, which is what Aquarius is all about. Now, the age of Aquarius is also starting now, and it goes for about 2,000 years.
We're not longer in the dawning of the age of Aquarius. We are in the age of Aquarius.
The sun is up.
Yeah, right.
You can just start to see it. And actually Pluto is going from Capricorn into Aquarius back and forth 5 times. Actually moves in November, of next year, 2024. Pluto is finally all the way in Aquarius until 2044. So to me, that's like really. So the age is coming. That has to do with the equinox and a whole different precession, and But Pluto goes around every 248 years.
So that's a big one.
So that's kind of ushering in the 2,000-year age is getting ushered in with this 20-year period of Pluto, which is symbolized as the force of evolution. And the force of evolution is the necessity to grow, to self-discover, to evolve, to change. And every time he goes through a sign, he's been, well, in 2008, he went into Capricorn, right? And we had the financial institutions, financial security, everything was threatened. Well, he has been, modifying Capricorn, which is governments. We've kind of moved very many ways. We had government mandates. We've had now, the EU and, changes, that are really bringing more and more. There's a restructuring of the governments mixing together with what? The corporations.
Well, is that new?
Well, it's not being hidden. It's no longer covert.
Right.
It's just like, this is it. We're, look at what we're doing.
Yeah.
You can't stop us.
Ladies and gentlemen, Pepsi for president. Right.
Yeah. So there's this blending of, corporations and governments and pharmaceutical companies and all the billionaires and, Amazon and everything. And this is all high tech and, with the mainstream media, all just turning into a huge conglomerate, right? So this has been happening since 2008. Now it's coming out of Capricorn into Aquarius. We have social distancing, right? We have this whole, it's like the structure and the governments and the institutions are now going to create, right, changes in, well, now, it's technology, virtual reality, artificial intelligence. It's going to be just this whole high-tech boom over these next 20 years that is going to completely alter the way that we relate, which is another thing that brought me to Costa Rica.
Right, because
community.
And also because I think like those things can, while that may be happening globally, like here we have ability within our small communities to kind of insulate ourselves a bit, right? I mean, COVID was everywhere, and it hit here too. Like people were distancing from each other here, and even in La Covia in the community, like there was people masking and like being very careful. I didn't see most of my neighbors for almost a year. But like, but there is like some insulation that we can do. We don't have to conform to these things. And we're kind of, one of the things I love about this valley is creating alternative systems, which, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but so Aquarius, as I understand it, isn't it like, it's like all encompassing. It's like, what is it? Like, how do you describe it? Isn't it like the sign of universal peace, right? Or universal love, right? Isn't this how am I wrong about that?
That's more Pisces is the love. Aquarius is the awareness. So Pisces is the crown chakra, and I associate Aquarius with the third eye.
Okay.
So it's very like laser beam, X-ray vision, enlightenment, liberation, this whole genius, which has to do with technology and science and, collective consciousness. Right, and the ability to tap into, and that is also large groups, organizations, communities, right? And it's interesting because it's co-ruled. It's got two rulers. It's before they discovered Uranus in the 1700s, it was ruled by Saturn, since the ancient Vedic, the ancient Hindu, astrology, and then they discovered Uranus.
Right, a new planet.
And they say, oh, well, Uranus rules Aquarius. But there are two different sides in a way, yeah? And one is very Saturnian, which I will associate Saturn with time, space, boundaries, physical matter, and materialism. It's the devil card in the tarot. Yes, materialism. no spirit.
Hmm.
Yeah, just, what you see is what you get. Who's ever got the most toys when they die wins. There's nothing after death, nothing before death. There's no etheric body, astral body, this whole kind of woo woo. It's Saturn. It's astronomy versus Uranus, the co-ruler of Aquarius, is astrology.
Right.
which
Spiritual side of it.
which is the spiritual, which is the yes, with my third eye, and we can connect consciously, and we can do all of so much, um, evolving into, and this is like this whole divinity thing that I'm getting into with Greg Braden that I was just watching, and that we are divine beings, and as divine beings, we can evolve and become more than we are through our conscious work, through Tantra, right? Through meditation, through yoga, through, all these different means and ways of expanding our consciousness. We can tap into higher and higher, more subtle, energetic realms of being. And this is where I feel there's a split coming. And we're going to see it over these next 20 years. We can already see it in American politics. Just the left and the right and the woke and the asleep and the whatever, right? Yeah, I mean, it's just, so we see this polarization, and this polarization I see increasing. And it will have so much to do with those who are materialistic, which is, I want to hook my brain to a computer and become immortal by downloading myself into this machine.
Right.
And that is going to make me immortal,
All
versus
knowing. Right.
versus people who, we need connection. We need physical connection, emotional connection, mental connection. We need live, etheric, astral interaction. And we are going to, evolve and self-discover and grow through community, through live interaction.
Yep.
Not the screen, not WhatsApp, not Facebook, not YouTube, not just, this kind of image, okay, but rather the whole human being. Yeah. So I really see people coming down here, Alegria, Ecovia, there's communities popping up left and right all over the world. You go to Thailand, Bali, Portugal, everywhere there are people waking up that realize, okay, that there is an element at work now seeking to capture the minds of future Earth inhabitants, shall we say?
Not humans, non-humans.
Right, yeah. Right. And this whole transhumanism movement, to like really, make us into cyborgs, versus, right, people who are like, whoa,
What's going on? Yeah.
what's going on?
So, you know what this reminds me of is, I don't know if you study much about the Hopi, but in the Hopi, I had this period in my life where I was so deep into the Hopi prophecies, and there's the glyphs, there's the, I forgot the name of the place, but there's a glyphs in Hopi land that are guarded and protected because, the Hopi believe that they were the original, that they were brought here by the earth, and that the Masa, I believe, was their name of their creator or their god, that told them that their purpose in life was to hold the history of humanity and to hold this information and to slowly release it over time. And so they've held on to this pictographs on this what do you call it, on a rock that they painted many thousands of years ago. And at the end of the story, so they have various points throughout history that people have said, like, well, this correlates to this. Like, they talk about the gourd of ashes, which some say was a nuclear bomb. Like, different little things that, some of it's kind of, you have to kind of put two and two together, but it can be obvious if you're looking at through that lens. But at the very end of it, there's a diversion, and there's a stairway going up to heaven, and then there's the people on the ground that are planting corn. And I got chills right now thinking about it, but like that's what it kind of reminds me of is like you're right, this idea of like some people are just kind of keep aiming for like Elon Musk going to freaking Mars, and like we're, I don't want to go to fucking Mars, man. I like the Earth.
That same thing is in the Great Pyramid.
Oh,
where you enter the pyramid, and there's a dating mechanism where it separates to go up to the king's chamber,
like Tinder,
or go down.
Oh, dating. Okay. It's like early Tinder, pyramid Tinder. So wait a minute, a dating. What do you mean by that though? Like a date, like
yeah, with like the year 2000, 2010, 2012, 2020.
Right.
Okay, the due to the wobble of the earth and the precession of the equinoxes, the sun, at the equinox, strikes, okay, this doorway, and they have, measured it and dated it.
Wow.
And it goes to this point where there's a split. Wow. And we're at that point. Yeah, I mean,
amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's the Hopis and the Egyptians
and the Kaypacha and the astrology. Wow. So, and you were in Egypt last year.
The Mayans. I mean, there's a whole nother thing going on with the Mayan calendar.
Yeah, that was the end of 2012. Year. That was 2012. Yeah, didn't you go to Egypt last year?
Where was I? Dubai.
Oh, Dubai.
Dubai. And South Africa.
And
Turkey.
Italy.
Been Turkey and Greece.
Yeah, you're always like I catch your Pele reports, and it's like always from some. You go all over, man. Do you love doing it? Do you love traveling?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful planet, and it's just the different cultures, the different perspectives, the different religions, the different viewpoints, and the ways, and the art, and the food, and this planet is so phenomenally diverse that. Yeah, I just I super enjoy traveling. And
you get invited to go all over and teach retreats.
I have been very fortunate that I get people. I have a lot of friends in a lot of places that invite me to do workshops, so I can mix business and pleasure.
Do you think that they've like the Pele Report has been like a big launch pad for you? Because like that's how I knew you originally. I'm curious if like that you feel like that's been like a and actually I'd kind of be interested like what inspired you to do that. Like the Pele Report is like it's classic. Anybody who follows astrology in our culture and probably in many places around the world are familiar with it. So, and if you haven't checked it out, you can go check it out on YouTube. Kaypacha does, what is it, weekly?
Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday. And it's freaking in-depth. Like, it's in-depth, and it's like a deep dive on what's happening astrologically. So, what inspired you to, like, start that? I mean, obviously, Pele.
It was a fluke.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I moved out to Hawaii in 2010. And I got a little Logitech camera because my computer didn't have a camera.
Right.
And the little instruction booklet said you can make videos with your new Logitech, your little ball on top of your thing, And so I go, whoa, I can make videos. How cool is that, So I just went out, I was goofing around. I went out in my backyard on Big Island, in Pahoa, and did a little 20-minute astrology, blah, 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 and I just sent it out to some friends.
That was 2010?
Yeah.
So
and they sent it to friends, and they sent it to friends, and they sent it to friends.
23 years later.
And now I have not missed a week.
In 23 years? Wow. Wow.
13.
And it's all archived somewhere? It's all on YouTube, probably.
It's all on YouTube. You can go all the way back to freaking June of freaking 2010.
Wow. Oh, I'm curious to do that.
It's not the Pele Report back then. I mean, it's gone through morphs.
Yeah. I think I became aware of it somewhere around 2004 or something, or 2014, I think, was originally like somebody showed it to me, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Pele. I know Pele.
Yeah. I was just kind of magical. I went from being, work exchange at Yoga Oasis, building them a deck so I could eat and sleep somewhere.
Right. You have a carpentry skill. Yeah. That's part of your past life.
Yeah.
And now you're around the world teaching astrology. I mean, I I know that you're very gifted, like the way you communicate and connect. I think having that kind of, you have that kind of everyman, people can relate to you because you're very relatable in the sense that you've had a lot of like humble jobs. You're a father, you've got kids, you raised your kids. I think a lot of people don't know that you were a Waldorf teacher at one point, right?
Yeah.
Is that off limits? Can we not talk about that? We can edit this out if you don't want to.
No, that's fine.
No, it's beautiful, man. I think it's so
Electronics engineer.
really.
I used to design computers in the Silicon Valley.
No way.
Hell yeah, man.
Wow.
I've had more jobs. I got the moon in Gemini in the 10th house, which is like job.
Amazing. Wow. And so now, but now you're full time doing astrology. And do you have you do a lot of retreats, right?
Yes, I am doing, like I say, I'm doing an online workshop, all right, because people, that's the way things have been evolving and emerging as people stay home now and they save money. They don't have to get a hotel and fly or whatever. And so there's lots of online courses and they're less expensive. So I am doing the astrology of relationship online.
For those people that are taking the stairway up to the stars. But then for the people that want to be in, the astrology of relation. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's a whole 4-part series on composite relationships, synastry, how you match up with your girlfriend, and
maybe I should sign up for this.
What the karma, what the past lives are, and
super interesting.
The soul intention. Yeah, that's all coming.
When does that start?
Well, I did module 1 in January, and then module 2 in March, module 3 in June, and August 5th, I'm doing module 4, which is we put in the transits, so you can see what's coming when. Right, and it's the grand finale. It's the last module, but live, it's like I do Kundalini yoga at my workshops, and it's about chanting. It's about creating a container. It's about sharing your story in a group of people who are listening and holding you. And I mean, that is where the metamorphosis, where the transformation really happens, is where you are in circle, and I'm not going to stop, until I, drop, I mean, it's really, I think it's really important. I'm going over to Mallorca. Rama, the Rama Institute on Mallorca is having me in Spain there in September, the first week, and then another one in Spain with a gong maker. Tom and Abby are coming. They make gongs, and we're going to be doing music, nice,
and
gonging on the lake, and then I'm going to the Bahamas, swimming with the dolphins, doing the astrology of water. Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. This is all in September, and then I'm going to Florida. I'm going to do a tantra, sexuality. Everything you want to know about Scorpio, Pluto, and the 8th house, which is the underworld of deep transformation through intimate connection with forces beyond our control. Which is
when is that? When and where is that?
That is October 3 to 9 or something.
And where in Florida?
Daytona Beach.
Daytona Beach. All right. All right, I'm gonna start working out so I can get out there and show my guns.
Yeah, lots of circles.
Yeah, and I love that you I witnessed some of it actually. I've been fortunate to we hosted some of the guests here at Finca Vida Verde for your Tantra and Astrology workshop, and I was able to partake in I didn't really take any of the courses, but I was able to be around that group a lot down there. And we also performed. You hired my band. Thank you so much for coming and to perform and play our music and make people dance, but also just witnessing the way people really had major life-changing experiences there. And I find that really that's all it takes. It's you are changing people's lives through these kinds of events. And yeah, I see that, and I want you to know that I see that. So thank you.
Thanks, man. Yeah. You're a life changer too, right up here.
Brother.
Great.
Yeah.
Great to know you, be with you, work with you, live with you, eat with you, sing with you, dance with you, play music with you.
We
Come
jam.
on.
Kaypacha's been. We used to. We have these regular. Well, you're not here so much because you're traveling a lot. But back when you were here more, we were doing kind of like weekly music groups. In fact, you had the first music group that we started in the whole valley.
That's right.
Yeah, it was you and me and Robert and Brian and we would have these kind of like jams. You know, sometimes they were kind of loose and sometimes they were a little more together. And you know, there was always you know, gin and tonics and and a lot of fun. And but no, we've been kind of I've been keeping it going as you've been gone. You know, we do our weekly semi-weekly potlucks here, kind of. It's not a weekly, but like semi-regular bi-weekly potlucks here during the rainy season where we have jams and we've got drummers and bass players and, you know, I have my piano, so maybe we'll get you up here for some jams.
You betcha, baby.
Yeah. Okay, so Kaypacha, where can people find you? How can they reach you? How can they find your retreats?
I am newparadigmastrology.com.
No dashes, no nothing.
Nope. Just New Paradigm Astrology. And on YouTube, New Paradigm Astrology. On Instagram, New Paradigm Astrology. On Telegram, New Paradigm Astrology. On Spotify, New Paradigm Astrology. I mean,
yeah, and on Instagram, it's not New Paradigm Astrology _01 or anything. Instagram, there's all these scammers.
I've
on
got
Instagram
one
these
copycat
days.
after another. I don't know if it's the same person, you know, but all they do is, they just like, they grab all my stuff. And they add a G to astrology or a Y or a dot or something. And then they start asking people for money and they want readings and pretending they're me. And I get Instagram to cancel them. I report them. And then a week later, boom, here comes another. I mean, it's like, whoa.
We had another guest on our program, Aisha Martinez, who has a bunch of scammers as well. And I saw something that she does is she has a whole, like, what do they call, like an album of pics. She screenshots those people and she has an album and marks them as fake and like circles the thing and highlights it. So people know, like, when they come to your page, like, don't follow, you know, block and spam, you know, this person's not real. I thought that was a really cool idea.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, New Paradigm Astrology with Kaypacha. I'm Matthew Human. This is La Vida Verde podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Finca Vida Verde CR. And that's a new Instagram for various reasons. Finca Vida Verde CR on Instagram. We're on YouTube at La Vida Verde Podcast. And you can also please support our Patreon, patreon.com/La Vida Verde Podcast. Help keeps us going and supporting. And we'll be back next week with another episode of La Vida Verde Podcast. Until then, have a beautiful day. Pura vida and
Pura vida.
Namaste.
Aloha.
Aloha.
So much love.
So much love.